here we are at episode 6 of our brilliant podcast. Hey, I heard that we hit like number 8 in the United States. That's a big deal, right? Like for fitness category or something.
For fitness.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
That makes us a very big deal.
Yeah, we're a very big deal now. So, we've got all our new technology. Like if you listen to the first episode, you notice sort of how hollow everything sounds. So most of us got microphones now. Jonathan, you got a microphone?
I do.
Okay, he's got his microphone now. So we got the good equipment now. We're a big deal. I'm actually listening on a pair of earphones, a headset that I got from my last flight travel. I think it was US Air. I have, and my other friendly hosts here were shocked by that. They belittled me a tiny bit because they're all iPhone people or whatever. I'm an Android guy. So these things are so easy to get. I literally said, hey, don't give me the peanuts. Give me an extra set of headphones. And that's how I got these. I got 3 or 4 packs of these things. I got a cabinet full of US Airways headphones. So I can hear you guys better. We talk a lot about titles here, and we'll have that conversation later. But if you get a chance to take another flight, whenever the flights reopen, just is my travel tip for you guys, because I'm a world traveler. I'm a very worldly man. Everybody here knows that. So if you get a chance and you're not feeling like the peanuts, or if you don't want the little sugar graham crackers that they're going to give you, guys, I implore you, load up on the headphones, because you never know when you're going to need a good headset. If you give back your juice, they give you a set of headphones. And if you give back alcohol, if you order some alcohol, you say, I don't want it, that's worth two pair of headphones. So I'm loaded up on these things. I'm a non-drinker. You know who else doesn't drink? PT Distinction. They don't drink at all. Totally. PT Distinction is a totally alcohol-free platform. They give you your very own branded software, and it saves you hours every week, and it gets your clients to even better results. PT Distinction is the sponsor of this podcast. If you don't know, we don't just mention them casually every day. We do love them, but we don't mention them casually. They're actually the sponsor here, and non-alcoholic. It's a totally non-alcoholic platform for running your business. PT Distinction, they do the heavy lifting for you, John. You did some heavy lifting this week at some point. We'll get into that later. And it involves a bear in the woods and pooping. We won't talk about that. PT Distinction does the heavy lifting for you, and it gets your clients even better results. We've worked out a deal here. Jonathan Goodman, who is, the ultimate author, the ultimate human. His skin glows like lightning in a thunderstorm on these podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, you see it. He worked out a deal where you can get 60 days of a trial for PT Distinction. If you're a trainer or coach, you get 60 days free, no cost. In addition to that, they're going to give you 50 automated text messages for staying in contact, accountability messages for your clients. So if you want to take advantage of that deal, and we know that you want to take advantage of that deal, head on over to onlinetrainer.com/PTD. And yes, guys, I'm still reading this off my papers. I've got 1-2 lines every time we start this thing. I still haven't memorized it. onlinetrainer.com/PTD. Not to be outdone is the Online Trainer Academy. The Online Trainer Academy is where you learn how to coach clients online responsibly, profitably, with the Online Trainer Academy Level 1 certification program. Jonathan Goodman, he wrote that too. That's like his 13th book. He wrote the whole OTA course himself. And if you're a coach, if you're a nutrition coach, if you own a gym and you want to learn how to do this the right way online, go over to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll there. We'd love to have you there. Jonathan, anything you'd like to add here?
I'm just really happy that we got PT Distinction to send us a wire for the sponsorship, because there's no refunds.
It's too late now.
It's far too late now. There's no way that they're not regretting it. There's no way. Like, we're at episode 6 at this point. Like, there's no way that they're not just shaking their head wondering what they did and what they got themselves into. And so I'm just happy that we pulled the Nigerian prince move. and got them to send us a wire, or it was either that or Western Union, right? You're not getting this back. PT distinction, Tim, you're not getting this back. Sorry, Tim.
You guys should change your logo to a lollipop because you guys are
four
some
other
suckers.
partners that nobody knows about. Tim, you're not getting it back. Can I get into the intro for the podcast? Are we moving on?
You might as well.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Goodman, and welcome to the Online Trainer Show. Today is episode 6, and unfortunately, I had a bit prepared, and Ren stole it in the beginning because we didn't talk about what we were each individually going to talk about, and Ren took my topic. I was going to celebrate the fact that we made number 8, everybody. Number 8 on the US fitness charts, which means, if you're paying attention, absolutely nothing. With that in mind, today's topic is focusing on the right things in your business and ignoring those micro things that are just going to distract you.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.
So, as you know, this is episode 6. This is actually the first episode that we were recording after we went live to the public. So this is the first episode that we're recording after people have ever heard any episode of the podcast, which means that we have reviews.
Oh, God.
And
oh, my word.
Initial reviews of the podcast have been very positive, my friends. Very positive.
Is that right?
But one of them, I'm looking at you, Joe Brown 2020. One of the reviews rubbed me the wrong way. And I want to tell you why. This is a 5-star review that rubbed me the wrong way. The title of the review is Funny and Informative. Thanks, Joe Brown 2020. What Joe said, I'm assuming Joe Brown is your actual name and not some pseudonym. Sounds made up. I've been following John and the PTDC for years, and this is the best content they've ever had.
Holy smokes. What?
That's a backhanded compliment if you ever go.
This man is crapping all over your 11 books right now.
The banter, let me finish. The banter is great, and the advice for personal trainers looking to move online is awesome. And then in all capitals, subscribed. Okay. Joe Brown 2020.
Oh, man.
Oh, snap.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Joe Brown 2020.
Thank you, I guess. I don't know.
I am glad that you're enjoying this podcast. I'm sorry that the 11 books, 5 conferences, and 1 million plus words that my company has published over the last 9 years are not as good as whatever this train wreck is.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
man.
I don't know what to do with that information.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing.
Thank you for the review.
So
I'm crying. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Let's shift. There's more than 2 of us on this podcast.
Yeah.
Let's shift over to our third, our in the field correspondent, Carolina Belmares. What's your reaction to that commentary from Joe Brown 2020? Sounds like a political campaign for a television judge show. Yeah, for a television judge, Judge Joe Brown 2020.
Maybe. Oh my! Do you think it's Judge Joe Brown?
Oh my God! I
what-
teared up. I'm like tears. Take that as you will. I'm crying.
I used to take so much pride in what I do, and it's all just gone with one review.
It was so much better hearing it from Jonathan, though.
Yes,
the
yes,
whole
that made it
magic of that
better.
was him reading it. That was just amazing.
I feel You know what? I feel like we're reading like angry tweets or something. Like,
Right,
what is
right.
it?
But they're not. They're
What?
passive aggressive tweets.
Yes, that's right.
It's so much
like-
better.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
so much
they
better.
took off their white glove and just like slapped you with it, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just
Sheesh.
what? That's amazing.
Now, Jonathan, what year exactly did you start in this business of educating? Because I want to give the viewers some context for how long you've been toiling in this business, only to finally have a hit with the podcast that we literally threw together in 25 minutes on a random Thursday. Like so how long have you been going to finally earn that quality of a review of your business in general?
Well, thank you for asking, man. I have been toiling since 2011 every day of my life.
Oh, nice. Finally made it.
Finally made it.
Thanks
are
to us
2020.
in this podcast. Finally
Thanks to-
made it. Thanks to
thanks
us.
to
'cause this is
everything
the best. Yes.
You
this is
two
the
do
best.
when Amber shows up silent.
2020, you hire two random individuals who work for cheap, who don't even know what they're going to make when they accept the gig. Like I didn't actually know we were making money until I heard it on episode 1, which was thrilling for me. You throw them together. You say, hey, let's do a podcast through Zoom, which is the, technologically genius, move. We're gonna take something made for video conferencing and process sound through it.
Yeah, we were the
turn it-
first people to think about that, by the way.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Nobody figured out how to use Zoom for podcasts before us.
Again,
It's like no trainer ever figured out that they could ever host a workout online until the coronavirus hit.
right?
And then they were like, "Oh my god, we
What?
can actually we can do this online.
Neither one of those is admirable, by the way.
This is
Yeah.
magic."
This is not. Neither one of those ideas is something to brag on in particular. And then in 2020,
Yes.
you released 2 podcasts, basically recorded through telephone mics,
Yep.
thrown together
Mhm.
by some people who were maybe out of work. I don't know. And then you finally hit. You finally made it.
That's
this-
that's when Joe Brown 2020. You know what
Confirmed.
year it is because it's in his name.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when Joe Brown 2020
Very clever, Joe.
let us know that we have hit solid gold with this podcast.
It was about time. It was about time. You
About
were
time.
overdue, my friend.
And then
I
our
feel like-
podcast team excitedly told us that we made number 8
Number 8.
in fitness
Yeah.
podcasts in the United States for an hour.
For at least an hour,
Was it for an hour?
I
That's
have no
fantastic.
idea. I didn't pay attention.
Oh.
It's like all these people who call themselves Amazon bestsellers because 3 people bought their book overnight in Europe, and they made some obscure category in Europe for like number 15 on Amazon bestseller lists for
So would this like
occult nonfiction.
what you're
you
saying?
know?
What you're saying is that focusing on these numbers would be like a micro in our
No.
business.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
Good,
Nice.
you know, with the segue. Look at
Gosh.
that. I mean,
I don't even want to
you're-
talk anymore. That was so brilliantly done. Man,
You're
way to
welcome.
go, kiddo.
You're welcome.
Yo,
You
that
are
was
welcome.
That was
So-
good. Should we end the episode then?
Episode's over, folks.
You know all you need to know.
So go back to Candy Crush. We're done. We're done here.
Go back to solitaire. Go back to solitaire. in
Okay, go back
Windows
to solitaire.
95. I think Ren, you said you've got an Android phone. You probably got that built in, right?
Thank you very much for that, Jonathan.
It's an old.
The,
I'm surprised they still make Android phones. Surprised they still make those. It's
Still-
weird though. Does it feel weird when you used to go out in public and you take out your phone and you'd have to like sheepishly you'd like cover it with a brown bag or you'd like get a case for like an iPhone and you just put it around your phone. It's like reading like a comic book in school, right? You'd like put it inside the textbook so nobody could see what you're doing.
The Android is a fine device, sir, made by people who care about people who don't want to pay for every song they hear through their phone. That's what the Android is. It's a fine device. It serves me just perfectly, and
Sounds like
I
you're doing really well.
like mine. I like it.
Whatever you're doing sounds like it's working really well because you ended up here.
pretty much
Must be
Pretty
going good.
amongst the I people. Carolina, any news other than Anything? Anything?
I
you
mean,
going
if you must ask, I had to brave the grocery store today. And when I came out, the car that had been beside mine actually hit my car with the door and
What?
left. Yes, my car got scratched by a door.
Mm.
And then it was one of those moments where it was like, one part of me was like, oh my God, you always assume best intentions. Like, who was this person? Are they really struggling? Did they just get a phone call and was it an emergency? Did they not leave a note because they're already struggling financially or with their mental health and all this kind of stuff? And then the other part of me just wants to punch them in the face. So there's that. I'm like, if I had
knew that second part is probably a lot stronger of a.
Next time, lead with that.
I'm like 1,000 things ran. I'm like, I could punch them in the face. I could key their car. Like I could just like so much, vengeance, just like revenge. But they were gone. So
This is a historical moment though, because Carolina Belmontes is actually the first woman to ever go to the grocery store to get a DoorDash. So that's amazing. Jonathan, anything going on in your world? I heard about a bear pooping in the woods. Nothing? No?
Nothing. No.
No isometric curls?
Definitely didn't experience the first forest poop with my son. Definitely didn't experience that yesterday. Definitely didn't have to do an isometric bicep hold for 20 plus minutes of my 30 plus pound son naked pooping in the woods yesterday.
Wow.
Well, he was nervous into a bag.
Oh my God.
No, that certainly didn't happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love the amount of poop that we have going on in the show. It's just
20 minutes. That's a significant deposit.
It's a lot.
It was, yeah, it was not good. The worst part about it was how my wife got me to do it.
That's the best part, if you ask me. If you ask her, that was the best part too.
Well, you know what it is? She knew that when he said my stomach's hurting, she knew that she was going to be the one to go first, right? And so she took him, but like, I feel like didn't quite take him. Like kind of like took him just out of my view and was just like, hey, we're not really going to poop. We're going to make daddy do this with you. But we've got to make it look like I'm trying. And then 2 minutes after I get back, that your stomach's hurting again, and I'm going to tell your dad to take you. Okay, got it? Got it? And then they high-fived and came back.
That's totally legit. I can totally see how that happened, and I applaud both of them.
There's no way that didn't happen.
Well done.
No way it didn't happen.
So how do you keep your shoes out of the way?
Well, you hold them the other way, right? I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm hoping to never do this again. I don't want to talk about it. Can we talk about
it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again.
Can we talk about, I don't want to talk. I don't want to revisit this.
I get that. So we've got a show. We actually have a topic today.
We do.
Yeah. For the online trainers out there who actually want to learn about online training on the Online Trainer Show. We do that too. And the topic, which is better than the topic that it was, Jonathan let us know how much better his topic was than the topic that. Anyway, it's the secret to focusing on the right things in your business. Yes. That's the topic today.
Carolina, that's the topic. You didn't actually look at the document that we sent talking about this beforehand. You just showed up and said, "What are we doing today?" Because you didn't actually check what we were doing.
I don't get paid enough for that.
So that's the topic today.
Thank you. Okay, bump my pay and then I'll check whatever you want me to check.
That's not gonna happen.
And I just read it from my Android phone, so that's how I know what the topic was.
And Wen left. Wen just logged off of the call. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna take over. So the topic today is focusing on the right thing until Len comes back. Look at this, everybody. We're rolling with the punches.
In perfect action right now.
We're talking about the difference between micro and macro. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when they're starting their online training business is they think that a lot of things that matter truly don't. But they get wrapped up in those things. For example, things like the name of your business. You can change that later on. The name of your business really doesn't matter. It's not worth spending more than 2 seconds. Like if you don't have a name for your business right now, call it John Goodman Fitness, right? Call it Your Name Fitness, whatever it is. You can change that later on. I know people who spend weeks doing like trademark searches, doing everything for their name.
Obsessing, yeah.
Obsessing over it because they think that there's going to be this everybody's going to think certain things about me. Everybody's going to look at me and judge me on my name. It's like, not to say that a name isn't eventually going to be important or something you want to put a bit of time into, but when you're starting, man, that's micro. And you don't want to get confused between the micro and the macro. And you want to identify the difference between the two. So what are a few more examples of micro decisions that are really not that important in the long run, but we have found that a lot of online trainers actually stress over these things when they start? Business name is one. What software you use? Should you use software? Holy crap, this is a bad question.
That's a big
Sorry,
one.
PT Distinction, sponsors of this show. You still can't get your money back. You wired it to us. Why do you think I asked you to do that, Tim? Sorry, Tim. But software, you simply don't need it to start. Or get a 60-day trial at onlinetrainer.com/PTD. And when you do, you don't really have to think about it. Oh, look, welcome back, Lynn.
Missed you.
I'm back, guys.
Next are things like color scheme, like what color is your brand going to be? Hot new exercises, like hot new exercises. Why does that matter when you're training? Hot new exercises, hot new software, hot new Instagram posts, whatever it is. But then we get on to macro. So what are the things that really matter? What are the things that you should really stress about when you start your business? Well, clients' goals, number one, first and foremost. What are your clients' goals? How can you best get them to hit those goals? How can you best set goals for them? And work with them to understand what their goals actually are, because most often when a client actually tells you what their goals, that's not what they actually want to achieve, or that's not the deeper why behind what they want to achieve. Clients will often tell us things when they come in, but they don't really understand the problem enough. They tell us things based off of language that they feel like is appropriate for our business, if that makes sense. They'll say, I want to lose 5 pounds of fat. They'll say, I want to run a 5K. They'll say, I want to lean up or get shredded or whatever it is. But they're not saying those things because they really want those things. They want the things that they perceive those things are going to get them to. Correct. And I think that's the big difference, because as a coach, you need to deeply understand where those things are going to get them to and what that is for your target population. What does 5 pound weight loss mean to you? What is that deeper why? And is 5 pound weight loss actually the way to get there? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Most often with my clients back in the day when I was working with clients in the gym, what I would find, particularly female clients, is every single one would come in saying they wanted to lose fat. Most of them didn't actually need to. I mean, I didn't work with people who had a lot of weight to lose. A lot of the time it was control. A lot of them were in jobs and sometimes relationships and family situations where they simply didn't have the control over their lives that they deserved, that they wanted. And their fitness was something that they could control. Yeah. And that gave them a tremendous amount of confidence. Giving them that was what they really needed. A lot of the men was confidence, it's kind of this like macho, bravado, alpha status. So then it was like competitions. It was kind of numbers with them. It was them being able to go to their poker nights or their hockey games or whatever it is and saying to their buddy, hey, how much do you deadlift? That was actually like they wanted that, they wanted that more than looking good for the most part. But what is it, right? So deep understanding of your client's goals. How do you do that? I mean, I talk about this in Ignite the Fire, like the first book that I ever wrote. Like, you got to ask why so many times in different ways. Why? Oh, what would that mean to you? Can you tell me more about that? Oh, really? Or the most effective technique ever to learn more about somebody. If somebody tells you something like, I want to lose 5 pounds, and you want to know more about it, the most effective technique ever is actually to just repeat back to them exactly what they said and then close your mouth. So if you were to say to me, hey, I'd really love to lose 5 pounds. Oh, really? Okay, cool. So you want to lose 5 pounds? And then they'll go deeper. Yeah. Great. Tell me more about that. What would that mean to you? So number one macro, deeply, deeply, deeply understand your client's goals. You can't ever sell them on a program until you know that. You can't ever build the right program for them until you know that. You can't ever get them results that they will be satisfied and happy with and want to continue on with you for until you know that, which means that everything you do in your business is contingent upon that. And oftentimes we take those goals as trainers at face value. And as a result, then, we're competing with everybody else who doesn't understand our clients, which means that we're competing in a price war race to the bottom. This is the secret, by the way, of how we get our OTA and OTA2 students to sell their programs at $200, $300, $500, $1,000 a month. Yeah. Like, it's by understanding our clients better. It's not in delivering something different than probably what you're delivering now. It's by understanding our clients better and knowing that everybody's individual and actually talking to them. Number 2 is client trust. What can you do to make somebody trust you who's never met you? Well, something like a podcast and being human is kind of that.
Yeah. Number 8 podcast.
Number 8. Well, I mean, Len, to be honest, man, like, I don't know, people listening to this, you really think they have a chance of reaching number 8 in the fitness category overnight in the United States for 45 minutes?
Well, probably not. Probably not. They'd have to put in a lot of work. Actually, we only put in 20 minutes of work. Yeah, they could probably do it.
Anyone can do this.
Anybody could probably do this. There's actually a really funny story of somebody who wrote a book. I do like air quotation marks because podcast, everybody can see my air quotation marks. We are just not good at podcasting. So he wrote a book. I think it was called Putting My Foot Down. And the cover of the book had a picture of a foot landing like he was walking, like on the ground. I think the PDF was 3 pages long. The middle page was blank. The back page was the author credits. He put it on Amazon. He put it on like the most obscure category he could find. He listed it for 99 cents as a Kindle book, and he got 8 of his friends to buy it. And he made number 1 in the category and then called himself an Amazon bestseller.
Oh my word.
Like, it's the dumbest thing ever. Right? But actual client trust is a body of work that precedes you, right? Is a reputation that precedes you. If you don't have that now, well, how do you gain that? Well, you start doing the hard work that nobody does and nobody sees it. And it's like a big stone wheel. It takes a lot of momentum to get that thing going. A lot of energy to get that thing going. But once you do, the thing just rolls. It's kind of like an exponential curve. If you've ever seen exponential curves on a chart, it goes, you almost feel like nothing's happening as things bubble under the surface. But once it hits, the thing just goes and it just kind of runs for itself. And people who work with us that trust the process do really, really, really well. And unfortunately, there are people who work with us that don't trust the process. They focus on the micro, they focus on the hot new exercises, on the hot new algorithms, on whatever. And they keep reinventing themselves, i.e. they keep program hopping. And as a result, they never get anywhere. Because they never build client trust. They never build trust amongst any kind of an audience. Clients receiving value, that's macro. Like, how much value are you actually giving to a client in a way that they can accept it, in a way that's meaningful for them? That goes into the client goals. And then your reputation. That's what's important. How much can you build your reputation? How much can you support other people like you? How much can you build relationships within the industry? Those are the macro things. And you know what the most important and most interesting thing is about the difference? I was actually, as I was studying for this podcast, i.e. drinking my coffee 2 minutes before you guys logged on, I was looking over this list of micro and macro, and it jumped out at me, as it often does when you take action in something, good things start to happen. And so I was taking action and good things started to happen. And I looked at this list and I was like, here's what's fascinating about this list, Carolina. Here's what's fascinating about this list. All of the micro things, and I'm sure you could, even listening to me talk in this little speech that I'm giving here, all of the micro things in this list are short-term, immediate gratification type activities.
Yep.
Every single one of them are things that you can do and check off a list right then and feel good and pretend like you're making forward progress on your business. All of them.
Yeah.
All of the macro things that really matter are delayed gratification activities, are things where you probably won't get much feedback, are things where you will feel like you are in a hole by yourself failing for potentially a long period of time. There are things where you don't quite see what's happening. You don't quite see all of the good that's happening until at one point you wake up one day and you look back and you're like, wow, I've got everything in place that I need to. Things are good. I don't need to really, if I want to continue to really build, I got to push it. But I don't really need to try anymore the same way that I was really pushing to get this going. And that's why, I mean, if you look in a group of Online Trainer Academy students, that's why you look in that group, people post almost every single day, if not multiple times a day. I think there's been 3 or 4 of them today, where people are like, oh my God, I'm having so much success. I just, did this one thing and these 6 people signed up, and I just, like user Esrak just posted this morning. I think she had 6 new clients at like 300% what she used to charge basically yesterday. I think it was, she said in the last 2 days, maybe, I might be quoting this wrong, of people just reaching out to her. Like it's easy for her.
Right.
And it's easy for her because she focused on the macro.
Yeah.
There's no trick to this stuff. There's nothing that you're missing. It's just that confusion of the micro or the macro or whatever better title I thought that I gave this podcast.
I think this goes well, kind of like hand in hand with people who, it's like, oh my God, you're having so much success in the industry. You came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the person is like, I've been at it for 10 years. Like, what do you mean out of nowhere, right? Like, I've been hacking at it for so long. It just, to you, to the external view, it looks like an overnight success. But the reality is the groundwork has been there for so long.
Hacking at it. I like that term.
I
have been hacking away at this. I've been chipping away at this. I've been trying. My first blog, you can look at, it's hilarious. It's still live. Champion
the one
Lifestyle.
Where your mom commented. I love that.
Championlifestyle.blogspot.com.
Amazing.
Champion Lifestyle was the name of my first blog. It was on Blogspot, which is almost as old and useless as Android phones.
Don't be like that. Not in front of company, John. Please.
And 3 different times, if you go to that, which, I mean, you can if you want, it's horrible. But if you go to that, I think it was 2007 I started it. And 3 different times I stopped and failed and started again and wrote a big I'm back message. Here's what I'm going to do different this time.
Oh, cute.
2007.
Aww.
I formed the Personal Trainer Development Center in 2011. I didn't start making any real money that allowed me to tailor back my personal training hours until 2013. That's 6 years.
Of going at it for the perceived notion of overnight success that a lot of people think that you have.
The difference, I was hacking away, right? I didn't know it at the time, but I was hacking away. The difference was back then, the internet wasn't where it is today, where everybody's pretending to be successful.
Right.
So I didn't have that comparison trap. There weren't Facebook groups. I wasn't a part of forums. I was kind of just in my own hole and somehow kept going. Whereas now, I mean, looking at that, to be honest, like looking at that might have beaten me down to the point where I gave up completely and went and sold real estate or something.
Absolutely.
Because that's what every trainer does who can't make it as a trainer. Real estate or Bitcoin. And so you would.
Yeah.
There's like one real estate agent who's like, I'm going to leave a negative review.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but wait, it doesn't have to be a negative review.
No, not at all.
It'd be a passive aggressive review. And that, my friend, is Joe Brown 2020.
The Joe Brown 2020 review.
I think he's a real estate agent.
That was quite the flex.
Real estate agent.
Yeah, I've been reading all of your content, John, for years. And I'm telling you, selling me this house was the epitome of everything you've done up to this point. It's amazing. You're an amazing realtor.
But like
Joe
to
Brown
be-
2020 comment.
Joe Brown 2020, man, I hope to meet you one day and shake your hand. He's gonna message me after this 100% and just be like, "Oh, I didn't mean anything by it." Like
100%.
I love you, Joe Brown. If that is your real name. To be completely real for a minute and honest, and I guess almost like vulnerable, is I don't know if I were to come up now. It's funny because it's both harder and easier, right? It's easier because the tools are out there. Like when I built a website originally, when I had to learn how to code myself, I had to teach myself Photoshop. I had to teach myself how to do everything for my website, literally all of the jobs. I did. There wasn't the outsourcing there was today. There wasn't these websites like Squarespace and Wix and that you could just put up. There wasn't Canva. There wasn't anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. So it was easier in that way, but it's so much harder psychologically than it was because there's so much comparison. It seems like everybody is doing so well. It seems like everybody is so far ahead of you in this kind of insurmountable climb up the mountain, and that you're already so behind and things are moving so fast that there's no way that you could ever catch up. And I don't know what would happen if I were to start today. I really don't. I like to think that I would still be able to make it. And what we provide for our students is as much support as I could possibly. I mean, what we provide for our students is mostly what a coach is supposed to do, which is like, we're there for you. We got you, man. We're going to pick you up when you're down. What Carolina said, when was it? A couple of days ago about Online Trainer 2, like she fell off for a month and a half. But she knew that we were there for her when she was ready. She reached back out and we got her and we picked her up. And that's perhaps what I take pride of most in the products that we sell in the Online Trainer Academy is like, we got you. Like, it's not going to be easy. And I guess all that I'm saying here is like, I feel you and I feel for you. That comparison is hard. That comparison is hard. That's psychological traps that you can fall in, man. They're hard. It's deep. It will beat you down. And it beats me down. It still beats me down today. And you just need somebody there. You need people there.
Yeah.
But you also need to just know that you're not alone in that, and that everybody feels that way, even though the internet might not make it seem that way. And if you ever need reassurance, just go to championlifestyle.blogspot.com and read the first comment on the first blog post ever and the only comment on any blog post ever, which was from my mom.
Oh, I love that. Moms are the best.
Oh, Mom.
You know, tying into what you were just kind of like relaying there, Jonathan, I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever received early in my career was forget about writing or talking to your peers because they are not your target market. Forget about trying to measure up to the science of this person or the technique of this person or the programming or like stop focusing on other trainers. Focus on the people that you serve. Speak to them because that's all that you need to be worrying about. So don't worry about how fancy your accreditations are because your clients probably don't care. Don't worry about how technical your vocabulary is because your clients probably don't care. Just focus on doing right by them and the rest will come.
Yeah, I mean, unless you find yourself as a co-host of the Online Trainer Show podcast, in which case you really need to...
Then question everything. You've done it wrong.
throw that out with the trash.
Everything you do needs to impress your peers. There's nothing else that we're doing here. I mean, this is not... There's no way we're going to generate any business out of this. I mean, this is just for our egos, trying to make ourselves feel like we're impressing our peers.
Amazing. So, and I'm going to song summarize this.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
So I love this.
Here's what I hear. You know, point one, if I can reflect back on what you're saying, is, you know, you just call on me, brother, when you need a hand, because we all need somebody. to lean on. And really with point two, what I'm understanding from that is, did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I would like to be. You're the wind between my wings and beneath them. And point three, what I'm really taking away from point three that Carol made about your peers is that, you can't compare to other people in this industry because what you're doing is unique. There's only one you, your USP, your story, the things that matter to you. Nobody else can duplicate it because you're one of a kind, and that ain't no lie, baby. Bye bye bye. Am I understanding those? Did I summarize that pretty
I think
well?
we all need to do the Backstreet Boys dance, though.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Sorry,
in sync.
podcast
Is that
listeners.
in
In
sync?
sync. In sync.
yeah.
Bye.
Like there's a difference.
Okay, sorry,
My
podcast
God.
listeners, you missed the dance.
So taking the action, concentrating on the macro, PT distinction. I think we mentioned them twice or three times a day.
I can't remember what they're paying us for. I can't remember how
Oh,
many times Tim told me to mention them.
And Jonathan, as much as I like to see that first blog, the search window on my Android device isn't long enough to input it.
Yeah.
So you'll have to can you fax me over a copy of that? I've got a fax. Androids come with a fax, so you can fax that over to me. I'll read it.
Androids also write in like Comic Sans.
Yeah.
Like you don't trust anybody who uses Comic Sans. That's just general.
All my text messages come through in like ding dongs.
That's what I'm saying.
Comic Sans. What is it? Wingdings. So this has been episode 6? I forget which episode we're at. This is episode 6.
Episode 6, the one with wingdings.
Yes, one of the wingdings, the online trainer show. Hey, we've got show notes. Jonathan, should I talk about show notes today?
I think that's what we're paying you for then.
All right, okay. Paying me. You're so clever. So for all the links and the show notes, as always, at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. Hey, do us a favor. Be like Joe Brown 2020.
Joe Brown 2020.
Yeah, leave us a great review. Passively aggressively, of course. We don't want Jonathan to feel too good about his tenure in the business up to this point.
Yes. As a Canadian, I really appreciate. Let me tell you a Canadian passive aggressive story.
Right.
Now, this is not a political statement. There's no politics on the show. But when Donald Trump was elected,
Oh man.
The Canadian government pretended like our immigration website crashed.
That is true.
Now,
Is
this is
that really a thing?
100% true. I don't know whether it was actually whether it actually crashed from too much from too much viewership from too many website requests, or whether it was just the greatest passive aggressive move by any government ever.
In the history of governing bodies.
As a Canadian, I very much enjoy passive aggressiveness. Thank you, Joe Brown 2020.
So show notes, yeah, I told you about that. Podcast, et cetera, online trainer show, jingle, whatever. Anything, Amber, anything that you feel like we missed today that you need to add to this?
We missed the mark.
Yeah, Amber, what can we do
but I have a surprise for you in our Slack channel once we're off of here.
There's a surprise later.
There is. It's already over there. I caught a pretty epic screenshot of you, Ren. Maybe we'll share it with everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, when I disappeared from the podcast, I had a power surge in my building here. Everything went down. Like I literally lost power in the middle of a podcast.
One of the most important things, by the way, when you're doing a podcast, for anybody interested in podcasting and coming here to figure out how it is done the right way, one of the most interesting, important things.
Who is that?
What? Why?
If you'll let me finish, team.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
One of the most, apology accepted. One of the most important things you can do in a podcast is always make sure you're adding value to your listeners every minute of the podcast. For example, telling them that there's something that there's interesting in your private Slack channel on the podcast that listeners are never going to see. That's how you run a good podcast.
Share it
everybody.
somewhere else. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes.
Probably not, though.
Yes.
Probably
Maybe.
Probably not.
Are we done yet? I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too.
I'm hungry.
Amber was eating snacks this whole time.
I saw her.
We didn't get to eat. All right. Bye for now.
This is the online trainer show. Trainer show. Trainer show. This is the online trainer show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.